A NASCAR driver got fined $50,000 and lost 25 points for one thing, being honest on his own team radio. Not for wrecking anyone, not for a dirty move on track. They're saying it out loud before it happened. And now, just weeks later, 3 other drivers did the exact same thing on the racetrack and walked away with nothing. No fine, no points lost, no hearing. Something is broken in how NASCAR hands out justice. And one insider just said the sport needs to fix it before it blows up completely. Here's the situation in plain terms. At Texas Motor Speedway, Ryan Preece got tangled up with Gibbs after Gibbs raced him hard 3 wide lap after lap. Preece got frustrated and told his crew over the radio that once he caught up to Gibbs' car, he was going to settle it. Half an hour later, Gibbs hit the wall in turn 3 after contact with Preece. NASCAR came down hard. 25 points gone, $50,000 fine. The appeal panel upheld every bit of it. Here's the twist. The panel itself admitted they couldn't prove intent from the data. The car's telemetry didn't show a deliberate move. What actually got Preece punished was his own voice on the radio saying what he planned to do. That's it. That's the entire case. To understand why this is blowing up, you have to look at what happened around it. In that same Texas race, Kyle Busch made contact with John Hunter Nemechek. Multiple people in the garage said it looked worse than the Preece-Gibbs incident. Busch said nothing on the radio beforehand. NASCAR labeled it a standard racing incident and moved on. No penalty. Then at Chicagoland, Shane Van Gisbergen wrecked Austin Hill. NASCAR's own managing director admitted publicly that it looked strikingly similar to what Preece did. Result? No penalty, because there was no radio chatter proving intent. Heel didn't let it go. He retaliated under caution and put his car into Van Gisbergen's door. His own team told him to stay quiet about it on air. NASCAR called it emotional human reaction. Again, no penalty. 3 incidents, similar contact, wildly different outcomes. The one constant? The only driver who got punished was the one who said something out loud beforehand. That's not a minor inconsistency. That's a pattern that changes how every driver in that garage behaves going forward. And for Preece specifically, it's brutal. Those 25 points shoved him right up against the playoff cutoff line, turning one radio comment into a season-altering swing. Let's break down what's actually happening here, because this goes deeper than one penalty. NASCAR has effectively built a rule that punishes honesty instead of behavior. Think about the incentive that creates if speaking your intent on a recorded radio channel is the difference between a fine and a free pass. Every driver in that garage just learned the same lesson: stay silent, act on instinct, never narrate your intentions. That's a dangerous shift for a sport that depends on drivers self-policing on track. NASCAR has long let contact and payback happen naturally between competitors. That's part of the sport's identity. Nobody is arguing Van Gisbergen or Hill should have been suspended. The argument is about consistency. If the same contact draws a penalty in one case and a shrug at another, the sport isn't enforcing a rule. It's enforcing whoever happened to talk. There's also a competitive integrity problem buried in here. Preece's penalty didn't just cost him money, it reshaped the playoff picture. A points deduction based on a comment rather than actual on-track evidence means one driver's championship hopes took a measurable hit, while others involved in arguably worse contact suffered zero consequence. And now NASCAR is scheduling meetings with Van Gisbergen, Hill, Hocevar, and Zane Smith, with officials saying there will be no more benefit of the doubt. That's a tacit admission. If the sanctioning body is tightening the standard now, it's because the standard was murky before, which strengthens the case that Preece was judged under a policy that didn't even exist yet in practice. Is this smart or dangerous for NASCAR? It's dangerous if it stands unchanged. Selectively enforcing intent based on who talks and who doesn't erodes trust in the officiating booth. Drivers already talk about the gray area of cup racing. This story just gave every single one of them a very specific, very public reason to distrust how that gray area gets policed. The reaction from the garage and the media has been sharp, and it splits right down the middle. One side is furious on Preece's behalf. The argument is simple: he got penalized for transparency, while 3 other drivers involved in comparable or worse incidents face nothing. To this group, it doesn't matter what the contact looked like. It matters that the same governing body applied wildly different standards within the same month. The other side sees a driver who told on himself. In that view, NASCAR simply took a driver at his own word, and if he hadn't said anything, he'd be in the exact same position as Van Gisbergen right now. untouched. Where almost everyone agrees, though, is that RCR has a legitimate grievance. Their former driver, Austin Dillon, lost his playoff eligibility entirely for intentionally wrecking two competitors at Richmond. Their current driver, Van Gisbergen, did something a NASCAR official compared to that same category of move and received nothing. That contrast alone is fueling a lot of the outrage. So where does this go from here? Two ways this can play out. Best case, NASCAR listens to voices like Jeff Gluck, reviews the Preece penalty, and issues a correction, either reinstating the points or publicly clarifying a consistent standard going forward. That move would cost the sanctioning body very little and would go a long way toward repairing trust in a season where playoff points are precious. Worst case, NASCAR stays silent, the penalty stands, and Preece's championship run is quietly shaped by a call that even NASCAR's own officials struggle to defend with hard evidence. If that happens, expect drivers to adjust their radio behavior across the board, meaning less transparency, more silence, and ironically, a harder job for NASCAR officials trying to police intent in the future. Either way, the meetings in Atlanta are going to be worth watching closely. So here's the real question. Should NASCAR punish what a driver says, or only what a driver actually does on the racetrack? Because right now, it looks like saying the wrong thing costs you more than doing the wrong thing. Drop your take in the comments. Do you think Preece gets those points back, or is NASCAR going to let this one slide into the record books unchanged? If you want the breakdowns before anyone else in your feed has them, make sure you're subscribed to SportsWire USA. We'll be right here when Atlanta happens.